much for staying tuned. My name is Marion. Karibu sana. Good whatever time it is that you're watching me, and karibu sana to this particular video. If it is your very first time, you are more than welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so very much. But we have been talking about marriage and in a 6-part series, and today we are concluding that 6-part series with how can you predict divorce. We have talked so many things, principles that will make your marriage work. We have seen myths that people have about marriages. We have talked about common conflicts that people have in marriages. We have discussed why therapy doesn't work for some people. Now we are in our final stage where we are talking about how can you predict divorce. I know relationships sometimes get rocky. Whatever we are talking about does not mean necessarily that they will automatically end your relationship, but if you see such signs, there are signs that you know you need to either put in effort, you need to work on your marriage, because of course that will eventually lead to divorce. Okay, so our first sign is when every time you're having a conversation, it has a very harsh startup. When a conversation is led off with a lot of criticism and sarcasm as a form or a form of contempt, again, and it has loads of negative words, even when someone speaks softly. Okay, so that is what we mean by harsh startup. Even if they're speaking in a sweet voice, but their words are very negative, then of course that is a very bad startup, and it's a sign that your marriage is heading to divorce. If your relationship, if your conversation has a lot of criticism, you will always have some complaint about the person you live with. Of course, everyone will always complain about the person you live with because you will always see an error. But there's a world of difference between a complaint and a criticism. A complaint only addresses the specific action at which your spouse has failed. So I will complain that, hey babe, you are not doing this properly. But a criticism is more global. It adds on some negative words about your mate's character and personality. So to know the difference is that a criticism touches on a person's character and personality instead of just addressing the issue. So a complaint focuses more on the specific behavior, but criticism ends up the ant by throwing in blame and general character assassination. So you turn any complaint into criticism. If you add a line like "what is wrong with you" to any conversation, it means that you've already changed that complaint into a criticism. Okay, so when you use such things, your marriage is going the wrong direction, and you need to address it. You need to change the way you communicate so that you guys can work together. So another thing is contempt. In whatever form it is poisonous to a relationship because it conveys disgust. Okay, so if you're showing disgust towards your spouse, of course after you show me that I disgust you, I emotionally turn away from you. And as we talked about the principles that make marriages work, instead of turning towards each other, you turn away from each other, because as much as you're showing me disgust, it shows me that you don't want me there. So contempt is fueled by long simmering negative thoughts about your partner. We talked about another principle of making your marriage work is nurture fondness and admiration. So in this particular lineage of contempt is where you have nurtured a lot of negative thoughts about your spouse. So anytime you look at them, all you see is the negativity that you have fueled instead of seeing the positive things. All your thoughts about them are negative. So of course, every time, even when you have a conversation and a confrontation, you will never find a solution, because according to you, you have already put a negative reaction towards your spouse. So defensiveness. When the other partner is addressing an issue and we defend ourselves, what we are saying is that we are not not the problem, but they are. So instead of finding solutions to the conflict, we just escalate the issue. Flooding is another thing that happens in such conversations and confrontations. So flooding means that your spouse negativity, whether in disguise of criticism and contempt or even defensiveness, is so overwhelming and so sudden that it leaves you shell-shocked. Okay, so when they are saying something that you don't find very nice to hear, you feel so defenseless against this sniper attack that you learn to do anything to avoid a replay. Okay? And once you start flooding again, it's another thing. You are avoiding what needs to be addressed, and the more you continue to avoid issues, the more they pile, the more they do what? The more they come and of course grow, graduate, and eventually cause an end and terminate a relationship. It's a recurring episode of flooding which we have talked about, where someone just shuts off. It leads to divorce for two reasons. First, they signal that at least one partner feels severe emotional distress when dealing with the other. Okay, so I am not safe, I feel like there is emotional torture here, so I'm not comfortable. Secondly, physical sensations of feeling flooded, such as increased heart rate, sweating, and so on, make it virtually impossible to have a productive problem-solving discussion. And it occurs because on a fundamental level, your body perceives your current situation as dangerous. So your ability to process information is reduced. Let's start there. And it is harder for you to pay attention because, of course, right now you're thinking, what can I throw at this person? You're not even listening to what they're complaining about. So, of course, again, it is very critical and you need to stop. Because if that doesn't happen, then again, you're stonewalling. We have talked about the females being so specialized in nurturing children. So for them, while the men were hunters, you know. So because of a nurturing mother, a mother who is breastfeeding knows that when I am stressed, it affects my level of producing milk. So it is easier for a woman to calm down even after being stressed, because I know I have to produce milk for this particular baby, and because it is my nurturing ability, I will calm down and like, I need to breathe because there's someone who actually depends on me and my body and my producing milk. For the men, they were just taught how to hunt. So anything that seems like a threat, Ndung'u, we are finished, we are done. So even in a conversation, it is hard for them to calm down easier. So of course, when you're in such a place, their hormones are just too all over the place. And that is why you will find that women, most of the time, even as ukifuatilia and ask around, men usually say, she's the one who starts. No, it's not like they just start an argument so that you guys can fight. It's because then they know that this is an issue we need to address, and it is easier for a woman to calm down. So as much as it is an issue for them, they can actually try and talk it out because they want to find solutions. But for a man, when your heartbeat is raised, you feel like we are going to war, it is World War III, and you're there, you're scattering and killing everything. So of course you need to work around it. And as women also, let's learn when to approach some issues, because as much as you want to solve every problem, we have seen that not everything can be solved. So work with what you can work. Okay, if you feel like this one, the way I look at my husband or the way I see this my spouse, there's no way we can work because he's not even willing to compromise. Leave it. It will come a point where you will need to talk about it, but for now, just work around it so that you know what things can work. Another thing that can cause you to see that there is divorce coming is failed repair attempts. We said repair attempts are things that you can use as stoppers. Yeah, you can be like, babe, please give me 5 minutes, I need to breathe, because of course this conversation is becoming toxic and I need to calm down. I need to calm down the emotional tension, you know. But now, if it is not working, then of course that means this person is not listening, and because they're not listening, then they will continue saying whatever they want to say. And when they're speaking badly, you as a human being, you will get offended, and you will also have your own, and you will also say something back that is not nice, and all of you will be there saying things that are not nice, and mutagongana, heady, someone will get hurt, someone will get wounded emotionally, even if it doesn't get physical. So of course, again, we are going back to the same cycle. So if you don't have repair attempts, namaanisha you cannot stop an accident from happening. That means that your relationship does not have brakes, and of course it's very easy to get into an accident. So we have stages, of course, to know that the relationship is getting somewhere. So the first one is you will see that your marital problems are severe. You know, when everything you are looking at, hey, this one we cannot solve, and everything for you does not have a solution, that is a red sign. When you're talking things out, when talking things over seems useless, unajua, you try to solve problems on your own, but you see they can't work. You know, when I talk to him, it's useless, so let me work the decision my way. And when you're doing it your way, remember it is not his way or it is not her way, so again it is an issue. So of course, another red sign, you start leading parallel lives. Parallel lives means that you guys are not working together, because of course if everyone is doing whatever they want because they know sitting down is an issue, of course now you're not one, you're two different people living in the same house and sleeping in the same bed, meaning that of course you're heading in a bad place. Loneliness checks in after that. Now I want to put a disclaimer, okay? The things we have talked about are some of the signs if they persist. It's like the way you have a persisting headache. Headache is not bad, because a headache can find you can go and get a painkiller and it's okay. But if it is persistent and it's persistent and it's too much, then again it can be caused by something else, and it means now you need to go to the hospital so that you can find out what is the issue. And you know there are people who have died from persistent headache. So it's the same thing with how to predict divorce. Some of these things are not major, because of course even some of us that are working our marriage, or we are still in marriages, we have some of these things going on. It doesn't mean that at now, because I have mentioned one and it is happening, that it is the end of your marriage, that it is going to a divorce, or it is the end of your relationship. It just means that if you don't take care of that particular issue or you don't address it, it will grow. It's like you're nurturing negativity, and once it's grow, it gets somewhere where you cannot solve it at all, and now you don't have solutions. And of course, because now you guys don't agree, you don't merge, you don't have a sense of oneness and togetherness, at the end of the day you will split. Okay, so you need to work on the things that we have talked about. This has been Marriage Talk 6-part series. I hope you have enjoyed. We are coming next. We are going to talk in February. We are discussing the traits of the one, okay? That person that you want to marry. So if you're a single person and you want to get your one, kindly stay tuned, because it's gonna be amazing. Thank you so much for staying tuned. I hope this has motivated you to become better, to work on your marriage as well. And see you on the next vlog. Bye-bye.